Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second episode of Sorry I'm Booked. I'm your host, Ansley Amore, and the second episode today is a special one, and I'll tell you why. This is the very first Sorry I'm Booked book club episode of the podcast. So I talked about this a little bit last week's episode, but I'm going to tell you more about what's going on and what that means basically. So I have a book club. It's called the Sorry I'm Booked book club, and every month I just pick a book, usually like a thriller or sometimes literary fiction, not often, but sometimes it's a thriller or a horror book, and I pick one and we all read it, and it's super fun and we can discuss. But I thought that each month, usually toward the end of the month, this episode will come out in the middle of September, but it will usually be toward the end of the month. I will just make an episode talking about our book club pick and what I thought about it, and if I think it was good and when I rated it, and basically just my thoughts on that month's book club pick. And it is currently September. We are currently reading Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell. It's our September pick. I actually haven't started it yet, and it is the 6th today, but I haven't started it. I will do an episode on it. But our book club pick for the month of August was The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. And we're just going to talk about this book today. This book is a chunker. It is literally 476 pages long, which is crazy. I did just read it, so I guess it's not that long, but it's a long book. And I picked this book for our book club because I had just heard nothing but good things about it. I had heard that The God of the Woods is just incredible thriller, amazing plot, just amazing writing, and I do agree on some of those things, but I think we have a lot to talk about. So, the thing with this book, I choose this book, I have people in real life recommending me this book, and I'm like, okay, I gotta read it. So I give it to the book club, and I'm like, this book is really long. It's summer camp thriller, which is what I thought going into it. Camp thriller, a girl is missing, there's a kid missing a few years back, and that's what I was thinking. And that's basically what it is. The basic story of The God of the Woods is there's this really rich family called the Van Leer family, and they own this preserve, and they have a summer camp on the preserve, and it's called Camp Emerson. And basically in 1961 the Van Leer's son Bear goes missing, and then it destroys the family, and everyone's really broken up about it. And then I believe it's 1961 to 1975 would be 14 years? No. It's the girl's 12. Okay, the girl's 12. So 12 years later, the Van Leers, they have a child. Her name's Barbara, and she's 12, 13, and she's like, can I go to the camp? I want to go to camp. Because they had never let her go to their family's camp before. And they say yes, and she goes to camp, and then she goes missing. So it's what the heck is wrong with these kids? What's going on with this family's kids? Where do they keep going? And I think that's really interesting. And also, I need to say, I read the book that... Okay, this is kind of embarrassing. The book that I picked for the month of July for the book club was The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. And The Last Time I Lied is so similar to The God of the Woods. The gist of those books is basically the same. They're both summer camp. There's people missing. They went missing a few years ago, and now the main character has come back to camp to figure out what happened. And I didn't realize how similar that they would be. And I'm sorry about that. If you read them both back to back, and you're probably I'm reading the same book over and over again. But I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I think The God of the Woods is a good book. Anyway, let me just keep dissecting this story for you. There are some things, I'll give you my star rating at the end, but Something I found that I really liked about this book was the writing. Like, usually in thrillers, like if I'm reading a thriller, I don't expect the writing to be like incredible because I feel like the point of a thriller is to just tell a shocking story. You know what I mean? Like a thrilling story with thrilling moments. And I don't think when I'm reading a thriller, I'm usually looking out for writing or quotes or anything like that. But the case with this book, with The God of the Woods, there was multiple times when I was reading it and I would just break the fourth wall and be like, whoa, what did I just read? That was insane. And like just quotes and writing that you can tell are just, they're just so well thought out. And I do think this story was very well thought out. And this author is an amazing author, Liz Moore. I had never read anything by Liz Moore before, and now I want to buy all of her other books and read all of them. But she's an incredible writer. She tells the story so well. I think she explains the thing and she describes things so well. But I also think that this story could have been more linear. And what happened was when I announced that this book would be the August pick, a girl went into the fable, what's it called, the kickoff, and was basically just like saying her thoughts on the book because she had already read it, and she was like, it bounces around in perspective a lot. And so I know, like, I was like, okay, it bounces around in perspective a lot. I'll start reading it and I'll see if it's bad. And I was just already paying attention. Like, I was like, told myself, I was like, okay, it bounces around a lot. I need to make sure to pay attention, right? And I was paying attention, but this book bounces around quite a bit, like a crazy amount. And I usually don't have a problem with it. I don't prefer for a book to bounce around a lot. Like, if it has to bounce around, like go past, present, timelines, I think it's fine to like have a regular timeline, like a present timeline, and then have some like flashbacks in the past. Like, that's great. I think that's great. But I just think the issue is when there's so many characters and there's so many things happening. Like, each character's storyline is so interesting that you'll read about like a character in this book, for example, Louise, who is a counselor. Like, you start the book reading about her perspective and what's going on, and then it'll like cut to like Jacob's what is Solitaire? I don't know how to, it's this prisoner's name. So it's like completely different characters, and it didn't bother me that much in the beginning. It bothered me a little bit more in the end because stuff would be happening and you would be like just about to find something out, and then it switches perspectives. And I know that people, like authors, do that. I mean, I know that they do that to make me keep reading, and it definitely worked. But yeah, I guess I don't have a problem with it. Just consider yourself warned that this book bounces around a lot. Um, anyway, I will explain some things I liked. So I mentioned this Jacob guy. He is a kind of like local legend, I guess. So his name is Jacob. I think it's Solitaire. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he basically, people thought that he killed Bear, the boy that went missing in 1961, and he got arrested, and he was just a murderer that got arrested near the area of where Bear went missing, and he became like this campfire story. And since his last name was like Solitaire or something like that, they called him Slitter. And I think that word literally gives me shivers down my spine. The word Slitter, that is it. That's genius. Like, I read that and I was like, oh, oh my word. Like, I love that name for like a villain or like a campfire story. I think it's amazing. It's one word. It's scary. It looks scary. Pronouncing it is scary. Everything about that word is scary. Like, just the word slitter, literally, I just got shivered. Like, I, uh, that word for calling this, like, convicted, terrifying murderer, that word is so good. And then there's also the second local legend is Scary Mary, which, okay, I'm gonna spoil this. Like, if you haven't read The God of the Woods and you want to read The God of the Woods, don't listen to this because I'm about to spoil a lot of stuff. Scary Mary, they're like talking about how she is like this scary woman and she has white hair and she just like walks around the woods and all this stuff. And like flash forward in the story, the Van Leer's daughter, her name is Barbara, and Barbara had this roommate named Tracy, and Tracy is in the woods. She's in the woods, she's looking for Barbara because Barbara kept telling her that she was going up to this cabin, like at the top of this mountain, to meet her boyfriend. So when she goes missing, Tracy is like, okay, I'm the only one that Barbara told this. Maybe she's at the cabin still. So Tracy goes out to find Barbara, and then all of a sudden, like she's not wearing her glasses, so she can't really see much, and then she gets lost in the woods. And all the counselors are like, if you get lost in the woods, you need to sit down and scream. And she's like, Tracy's like, there's no way I'm gonna do this. Like, I'm not lost, I'm fine. But she keeps walking around for a long time, and she's like, I'm lost. Oh well, I have to sit down and yell. So, like, she sits down and starts yelling, and then all of a sudden, there's this line that literally, it scared me a little bit. It was like this white face with long white hair, like, peered out from behind a tree, and oh my word, it scared me so bad. I was reading in daylight. I was reading this book, and so, like, this book had a lot of like things that I wasn't expecting to freak me out a little, and they kind of did freak me out a little. But I think it was because you don't know who this woman is, which is why it scared me so bad in that moment. But like, this woman like leads Tracy back to the entrance of the woods so that she can get out, and then she gets out and everything's fine. And then you do find out who the woman is in the end of the book. The woman is the wife of this guy. His name is Carl Stoddard, I believe, and he worked for the family, the Van Leer family. He was their gardener, I believe. He worked for them, and he ended up taking the fall for Bear's disappearance, and the entire Van Leer family was like, yes, this employee of ours, Mr. Stoddard, like, he killed Bear, we all know. And so Mr. Stoddard ended up going to jail for the murder of Bear Van Leer. And the Scary Mary is Mr. Stoddard's wife. And she would just walk around the woods every day for the past like 10 years since her husband got convicted. She would walk through the woods and look for Bear because she thought finding Bear, like finding his body, would get her husband exonerated. Her husband ended up dying of a heart attack, which is so, it's heartbreaking. It's very sad. But anyway, another thing that I liked about this book was how you view the family. Like, I feel like the family progressively gets more and more scary, and like the more that you read, the more you don't trust the Van Leer family, and you just see how they like F over everyone. Like, literally, like, people that work for them. Oh, the Van Leers has like, you're disposable basically to them. Like, the Van Leers will literally throw anyone except for themselves under the bus, and it's crazy to read about. Like, so much family drama in this book, and I was eating up the family drama in this book. This is almost a 500-page book, and I read it in like a week with no audio, nothing, and that's crazy for me. I usually can't do that. Like, and it's just because I was loving this book so much. And I did say on my Instagram and on my TikTok that I was predicting this book to be a 5-star. And I think I just had my hopes so high. And it's not a 5-star. It's very highly rated for me. I'm gonna rate it between like 4.5 to 4.75. Like, it is almost a 5-star. I just haven't really been thinking about it since I read it, which makes me not want to give it 5 stars, but it's an incredible book. Like, and now I want to talk about the plot twists in this book because I was not expecting that. So you do end up finding out where Bear Van Leer is. And this is so sad. Oh my word. Like, it was so sad. So they capture Jacob Slitter in jail. He escaped jail. And so everyone is like, when Barbara goes missing, Slitter just escaped from his prison cell. They're like, do you think Jacob Slitter took Barbara too? Because that was kind of like the consensus throughout the town of Shawtuck, where this takes place, that like this guy, Jacob Slitter, killed Bear. Like, that was kind of like believed among a lot of people. And you do end up getting Jacob's perspective a few times, and whenever you would get his perspective, I really enjoyed it. One was you saw like right before he escaped from jail, and he like faked this illness, but the illness that he faked, he said that like his legs didn't work. So he would literally drag himself throughout like prison, and he would like drag himself up to his bed and like through the halls and all this stuff, and he was like, my legs stopped working. And he ended up doing this for so long that the guards were like, his legs must actually not be working. So they sent him out to like another jail, and this jail has like a specialist that's gonna like look at him, and then he ends up escaping like while he's being transported. And this is happening at the same time that Barbara goes missing. So people are like, okay, Jacob Slitter got out, he killed Bear, now he's come back to kill Barbara and all this stuff. And it's interesting because Jacob Slitter did not kill either of them, but he knows what happened to Bear. So he like gets the police in, and they're talking, and Jacob's like, have killed people before, like I'm responsible for all of these other things, but I did not kill Bear Van Leer. And it's like plot twist, like, okay, so you find out that he had just escaped and he was in the woods, and he's like in this rock. It's like a cave basically that he's in, and the only reason he knew about this cave was because his, I think, grandfather owned the Van Leer Preserve and then sold it. So Jacob knows these lands, okay? He like, and it was like a messy sale or something, and like the Slitter family still thinks that they should have the land, and so that's why Jacob Slitter knew where he was going. So he's like hiding in this cave, and he hears someone coming, and he's like, oh crap, who is that? And so he looks out of the cave, and he sees the camp director by the name of Vic Hewitt. It's just this man that works for the family, and he's carrying Bear in his hands. Like the lifeless body of Bear Van Leer, he's like carrying him. So then Jacob like watches him bury the child and like stack rocks on the grave so that it like marks where he is, and Jacob sees all this going down, and of course he doesn't say anything, like because he just escaped from jail. Like, he's not gonna say anything because then he's gonna go back to jail. So then that's like what happened to Bear, which is, it's sad, like, and just seeing like how Bear, like how they buried him and stuff is so sad, but also the way Bear died. So Bear, okay, this is so sad. Bear's mother, her, am I about to forget this lady's name? Bear's mother, Alice, she went through a lot of stuff. She got married to her husband, Peter Van Leer, and their marriage is bad, and he doesn't like her. She doesn't like him, really. And she's having a bad time, basically. Like, she's depressed, she's drinking, she's upset, and she comes in one day and she's drunk and she's like asking Bear, she's like, come sailboat with me, like, come on the boat with your mom. And Bear's grandpa is like, you're drunk, get away from the child. And so Bear ends up like being between a rock and a hard place. He's like, do I listen to my mom or do I listen to my grandpa? And he ends up listening to his grandpa. And then it's a few days later, and the grandpa and Peter are looking for Bear, and they're like, where did Bear go? And then the grandpa is like, oh, do you think he's out sailing with his mom? Because his mom was so upset that they didn't go sail with him. So the grandpa ends up like walking along the riverbank, or the river, and he sees an upturned boat, or like canoe. It's like a little boat, like that you put on the water. Anyway, it's overturned. It, like, people, were they in it? If they were in it, they're in the water now. So Alice comes out of the water and she's like hysterical, and she's like, he's in the water, like, Bear's in the water. And so they dive after him, of course, and they get Bear out, but he's dead. He drowned. And the mom, Alice, is just freaking out, and she's drunk, and she's like hysterical. And that's when Peter and the grandfather were telling Vic Hewitt, they were like, you need to deal with this. And then they went and dealt with Alice. They put her in this room, and she like slept for a very long time. And when she woke up, she didn't know what was going on, and she forgot that like Bear died, and like she was there. She forgot, and they never told her what happened. So her whole life after that, she had no idea what happened to Bear. And she eventually finds out, but like they hid that from her because she was like freaking out so bad. And I mean, they should have told her. I think they should have told Alice that she kind of murdered her own son. I think she would have gone a little crazy though. More crazy than she already went, but it like messed her up. Losing Bear messed up Alice, and she was like, she would be talking to Barbara, and you can just tell Alice and Barbara's relationship, like, she did not love Barbara as much as she loved Bear. And it is sad, I will say. So that's what happened to Bear. And then Barbara, this is the plot twist that I actually really liked, because I feel like I've read a lot of summer camp books and like books where you're at an isolated location and someone goes missing, and it's always like, oh, they were killed by someone, or oh, they find their dead body or something like that. But Barbara is alive. I mean, who did you guess? Because I didn't. I for sure thought Barbara was gonna be dead somewhere and they would find her body. But no, Barbara is alive, and she's in a cabin, and the person that helped her disappear is TJ Hewitt, who is the daughter of Vic Hewitt, and she works for the Van Leers, and she has witnessed, like, she was there before Barbara was born, and she has witnessed Barbara's relationship with her family, and like how Barbara's parents just wish that she was Bear, and they miss Bear, and they take it out on her. And TJ has seen that, and she's like, I'll help you escape. So TJ has this cabin, and she ends up letting Barbara escape and go there. And I really like that, because A, Barbara gets to leave her horrible family, and B, I wasn't expecting it. Like, I was expecting Barbara to be dead. I was expecting that to be like the climax of the story, the end, Barbara's dead. Who did it? We have to find out who did it now, kind of thing. And no, she's alive and well and breathing and thriving in a cabin by herself. And good for her, because her family was horrible to her. Honestly, like, they were bad. They're just bad. And Barbara didn't deserve that. And now she's out by herself in this cabin. And the family, oh well, they lost another one. But they killed the other one. So, okay. Crazy. Yeah. So, Barbara's alive, Bear is not alive. This book is crazy. And there, if you look at this book, I love the cover of this book. And I love how there's, like, pink paint, like, falling down, covering, like, part of the cover. And I didn't get what that was literally until I finished the book. And you figure it out, like, halfway through the book, what the pink dripping is. And it's paint. Because Barbara painted this, like, amazing mural in her room, like, on her wall. She painted it, and then her parents painted over it pink. And Barbara comes back, like, Barbara's at camp, and she goes back to her room to get something, because the Van Leers live on the campground, basically, and she sees that they painted over her mural, and she freaks, which, as she should, I would have freaked too. But, yeah, I just didn't put two and two together. I don't know why. But I'm sad that Bear's dead. Even though, like, I was like, it's been, like, 13 something years. I feel like if he was alive, they would have found him by now. And also, the place that they found him, it was, like, across the lake. And it was, like, right across the lake. And part of me is like, why didn't they search there? Which, because also, like, it had this, like, stack of rocks on it still. I was like, I feel like they would have searched there and found him. But I remember them stating, like, they stated a reason why they didn't go over there. And I can't remember it now, but there was a reason why they didn't search over there. And I don't know, like, I feel like they probably should have gone and checked across the river, across the water, that he was there, But anyway, Bear's dead. So sad. I mean, it was heartbreaking to read about. And then Barbara's alive and well. Good for her. Barbara was born after Bear disappeared, so she never really met her brother. But it's sad. Like, she looks at photos of him, and she wishes that she could have known him, and it's sad. And I think it was a very moving story. It was a very well-written book. I really enjoyed it. I think the only reason it's not 5 stars is just because sometimes they got messed up with the like, story jumping around so much, but that's just a me thing. That's just my issue. I'm just too stupid to read. But I really loved it. There was also something that I really liked about it, and it was the fact that it's called Camp Emerson, because it's named after Ralph Waldo Emerson, which, love him. He's great. I've read about him in all my English classes, and I just love that they, like, used him as a name for their camp. I think that's so fun. But I really enjoyed this book. I think it was a solid book pick. The God of the Woods. It's named after, I believe, a Greek god or something that was known as the God of the Woods. I should have probably looked that up previous to filming this. I'm going to Google, what is the Greek god who was the God of the Woods, ? His name was, okay, I'm going to butcher this so bad. His name was Panathus? Okay, he goes by Pan. His nickname is Pan. Okay, his nickname is Pan, and the origin of his name is Panic. I remember this from the book. They were talking about this Greek god and how the origin of his name is Panic, and how you should not panic if you're in the woods by yourself and you're lost. They were like, never panic, because that's when crap hits the fan, is when you're in the woods by yourself and you're freaking out. But yeah, I love that little detail. Greek mythology is so cool. Not that I've read anything about it, but I think it's so cool. And I love this book cover. I loved the writing in this book. I need to read more by Liz Moore, clearly. If you were in my book club and you read this book with us, what did you think? I want to hear what you thought. If you've just read this book in general, I want to hear what you thought. I think that you should definitely read it if you like summer camp thriller, missing children, anything like that. And I really hope that you had read it before that you watched this episode because I definitely spoiled everything about this book. But yeah, I'm so excited for next month. We're reading Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jewell, which I feel like is perfect for like getting us into the fall vibes. Maybe. We'll see. But if you enjoyed this video, if you're watching this on YouTube, you should like and subscribe.